everybody's talking about AI. I just need, no. AI too is another tool. You still need to do the basics right because you're running a business. You're not running AI, you're running a business.
Our guest today is Magesh Bagavathi, Global Head of Data and AI at PepsiCo.
The transition's happening so fast. Forget large enterprises, even small enterprises are struggling to keep up with this pace of transformation that's coming from the tech companies. That shift is a big shift, and that's a human shift. We're still scratching the surface of that, in my opinion.
Welcome to Sierra Ventures CXO Insights on AI, where we hear from top industry executives at leading Fortune 2000 companies. My name is Mark Fernandes, and I'm a managing partner here. Our guest today is Magesh Bagavathi, Global Head of Data and AI at PepsiCo. Welcome, Magesh.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for welcoming me.
Could you give us some color, Magesh, on PepsiCo and your organization there?
Perfect. I think most of us know PepsiCo. We're a global organization operating across 200 countries. On a daily basis, our products are consumed by almost 1.4 billion consumers every day, both foods and beverages as well. So it's a pretty sizable operations in terms of size and scale. My role here at PepsiCo, I've been here the last 6 years. I'm based in Dallas, Texas. And my role is the Global Head of Data, Analytics, and AI. I've had this role for the last 2 years. Prior to that, I was the Global Chief Technology Officer for PepsiCo. I worked in other companies as well, such as GE, AIG, Samsung, prior to coming here. So really wonderful talking to you, Mark.
Thank you, Magesh. Magesh, since this is about AI, where are you in your AI journey? Could you give us some specific examples of how AI is helping you and maybe some places where it has not yet worked?
So when we talk about our AI journey, I'll probably talk about 5 core pillars that's going to be essential for AI. The first pillar is the right organizational setup and capability. The second one is ensuring that the focus is on end-to-end process transformation. Third is don't boil the ocean, but choose the top 10, 15, 20 priorities. Don't go after everything. Fourth is have a very strong digital backbone, which includes digital, data, software, platforms, but have a strong platform capability that integrates into the full hyperscaler plus ecosystem. And fifth is training, adoption, communication, governance. Right. So this is kind of the full overall ecosystem that one needs in order to make data successful in any enterprise. And typically what ends up happening is we start off with the hype that everybody's talking about AI. I just need, no. AI too is another tool that is going to fundamentally alter the environment. We all agree with that. But you still need to do the basics right because you're running a business. You're not running AI, you're running a business. Right. So what we've done here at PepsiCo is we started with these basics and we've invested in these basics for the last almost 6 years. So that gives us a very significant leg up. To give you an example of how we've invested in the basics, 70% of our environments are the cloud. Our 80% of our entire data estate is cleansed, harmonized, cataloged, meta tagged, and ready for consumption for all the products that we built on AI products we built on top of it. We're focused on top 10 end-to-end process. For example, source to pay is a process that we're completely streamlining. And in that process, we're now agentifying that process as well. So each one of these elements, these 5 elements that I talked to you about, are core foundations for us to really make AI happen. So across the PepsiCo ecosystem, we've got top 30 priorities that we're focused on. Those 30 priorities is where we're really where we are enabling AI and truly making this successful end-to-end. Where, to the later part of the question, you talked about where are you seeing success? Things like AI procurement, we've seen success. We've rolled out what we call as PetGPT, where across 25,000 associates, the equivalent of ChatGPT, but for PepsiCo. But now we're making it available for all 300,000 associates. We are working on digital twin plus AI. All of these programs are successful or moving the right direction. Where we have still opportunities and challenges that we're working through is how do we drive adoption? How do we make sure true end users, a warehouse operator, someone who is driving a truck or a van. They are now embedded in this process, and this is their journey, not a journey that's driven by corporate. That's where the big opportunity lies.
Magesh, in 25 years of being in venture capital, I've never seen things move as quickly as they are right now. Do you think we're setting the right expectations for AI's impact inside large enterprises, both in the near and midterm?
It's a very good question. It's a question that we grapple with every day because as human beings, we all hear and listen to the news every day. And the pace of change is so rapid that what we talked about Gen AI 1 year back, today we're talking about agentic AI, and then we're already in the cusp of making physical AI happen. The transformation, the transition's happening so fast. Forget large enterprises, even small enterprises are struggling to keep up with this pace of transformation that's coming from the tech companies. Plus, what people are now starting to play and engage at their homes, for example, with Cloud Code. I was spending quite a few weekends with my daughter on Cloud Code. It's fantastic as a capability. And many of our developers and engineers are spending time with these capabilities. They're like, I want this now. But is it ready for an enterprise to consume? What are the risks that we should be thinking about? Have we thought about its ability to come into an enterprise and then start consuming voluminous amount of data that's proprietary to the environment, and thereby going and retraining a large language model? There's all sorts of questions that still we haven't answered or grappled with. Even if your regular industries, there's all guardrails that they're really putting, and they want to make sure they're putting the right guardrails and progressing appropriately. Even non-regulated industries as well are also doing something very similar as well. So I think going back to the question, industry is moving too fast. The human appetite is really wanting things now rather than tomorrow. Enterprises and CXOs and business leaders are saying, hey, I want this change to happen in my shop right now, otherwise it won't be competitive. There's this big question of, do we know enough? Are we being thoughtful enough? Are we going to make or break the company as we do this? All of these questions are still on the table while we're still moving towards an AI future of ours.
So what's been harder, Magesh, than expected? The technology itself, the data, or the organizational change?
If you ask me, I think the technology has not been the hardest. We started our journey in terms of building a centralized platform called PepGenX almost 2.5 years back. So, and the good thing is that platform has integrations into all the hyperscalers and all the associated large language models. It has all of the necessary harnesses like observability, like registry, like identity. So some directly from the hyperscalers, some being stitched from other providers. So, and now a large portion of the products that we're building is built on PepGenX, or some we're buying, right? So it's a combination of build and buy strategy. The challenge has been as we build these capabilities. So for example, the AI for procurement. And really all of a sudden, the level of insights we're getting from now your procurement community being able to use all of this is so rich. Now, how do you transform the community? How many more agents are going to be there in the community? And what are the procurement analysts of the future going to be doing versus how we're doing procurement? So the as-is and the to-be of how we run source to pay fundamentally needs to transform, because the technology is transforming the business process. And the technology is transforming the types of SMEs we need for tomorrow versus the SMEs we have for today. That shift is a big shift, and that's a human shift. And we're still scratching the surface of that, in my opinion.
So given that, Magesh, what do you think you need to build internally to build a durable competitive advantage? I mean, it's difficult for a company like PepsiCo to think, okay, here's the technology advantage, but you've been doing this for a while now at large companies like this. So what do you think you need to build to have this durable competitive advantage?
So I'll break it into a few layers. Layer number one is not necessarily a build as much as a partnership. It's the partnership with the hyperscalers. It's the partnership with the large language model providers. It's the partnership with startups. It's also a partnership with retailers as well, because retailers in our circumstance have become very, very tech savvy. So that partnership ecosystem is kind of an underpinning at this point in time. The second one is the data ecosystem, because we've realized as we were doing the respective projects, hallucination is a very real thing. And not only does this capability hallucinate, but it also gives you results like it's real and it's accurate. So we have to consistently make sure it's grounded in real data truth. Our ability for us to ensure that we've got the full data estate captured for PepsiCo is very effective. So in PepsiCo, we actually use a medallion architecture from a data perspective. And the goal layers are really what we're actually training the AI data and the AI models on. Then you have to have what I call as AI essential services: identity, registry, rewind. All of the things that we used to actually build on the cloud, no different than what you need from an AI perspective. All of these things, underlying things, create your platform. Every company needs its platforms, including how agents are governed and the guardrails associated with these agents, including if you get an agent from Salesforce or ServiceNow, or you actually build your own agents. They all have to be governed in this platform. Now, truly, enterprises are going to have two ways of doing things. One, they're going to basically say, hey, a central organization builds all my capability, or I'm going to federate this agentic capability to a large portion of my organization. But in order to do either or approach, your platform is central. And large companies at a minimum have to have their platforms. They're executed in such a manner so that way they don't get out of control, whether you actually get an agent from ServiceNow or you build your own agent internally on a large language model platform. So I think this is kind of the stack that most people are going to need or will need in order to drive this execution.
So Magesh, if you were starting from scratch today, what part of this technology stack would you redesign first because of AI?
Would we think about completely differently because of AI? I think fundamentally everything's going to change. The way we've known things, Mark, in my opinion, because the model we have today is still a highly efficient model, but still running off Henry Ford's 1930 assembly line process. The assembly line is either for manufacturing or transactional systems. Even our transactional systems are based on, I've got finance, I've got HR, I've got supply chain, I've got commercial, I've got consumer. And then information, people, capabilities, materials all flow based on how we've organized. An agent doesn't think that way. An agent thinks completely horizontally without these boundaries. And multiple agents can fundamentally rethink the boundaries, even within what we call as marketing organization, very differently than we've done things in the past. Sales, very differently than we've done things in the past. And so for new companies, they have an opportunity to completely rethink not only how they go to market, but how they execute to what the market's requirements are with a completely agentic first mindset. I mean, I'll put it out there that do you need your SaaS platforms as they are today or as they're being built for agentic tomorrow? Or can you completely start afresh? So it's an opportunity to rethink the full stack than the way we actually have the stack today.
And Magesh, finally, what advice would you give startups right now? It's a brave new world. What would you give if you had a chance to talk to some of our founders? What would you tell them?
Some of the best startups that I'm actually working on with right now is the best founders are ones that are keeping a very strong, close pulse on the customer, that have very strong VC backing, such as yours, but are taking your advice and engaging with customers on a regular basis. Third is they are very open to rethinking their product almost on a daily basis. So the backlog they had yesterday, versus the backlog they're going to be having for tomorrow. They're okay challenging their own backlog, their own product backlog, based on how fast the market's moving. And as you get your first 5, 6 anchor customers, you're obviously going to throw the kitchen sink at them and make them very successful. But also ensure that you're putting very strong pro serve with those customers. So that way you're helping those customers transform their environments while you're using that opportunity to drive your product success. Because your forward deployed engineers or your pro serve in your customer's organization is going to be your biggest asset, because you're driving the change in the customer, you're learning from the customer, and then you're redeploying all of those capabilities back into your product.
So the rules haven't changed. It's still make your customers successful. Magesh, thank you very much. These insights of yours will be very helpful to both your peers as well as the founders that we work with. Thank you, Magesh.
Thank you, Mark. It's always a pleasure partnering with you.